Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Well, Amazon recently launched its long-awaited Irish store, but while it has been welcomed by many, what will it really mean for Irish retailers? Well, Kevin Traynor from eComm Live joins us now to tell us about the opportunities which Amazon.ie could create for domestic retailers. Kevin, we'll be discussing the launch of Amazon.ie, but first, I'd like to get an insight into your own career.
Carl, I've been very lucky to work in the digital space for most of my career. At this point, I've had various kind of senior roles in-house, working as kind of VP of Digital and Digital Director. And actually, I ran an e-commerce business a few years ago, which led me to start a kind of a digital consultancy that did a bit of work in e-commerce and having businesses get online. And as a result of that, we started a conference a few years ago in Belfast to try and support people who are working in e-commerce and bring them together into a room and get them to share their experience in the world of selling online. So we've now got a community of about 150 brand owners and founders across Ireland who are all selling online on different channels. Some of them are on TikTok, some of them are on Shopify websites, some of them are already selling all over the world globally, some of them have got retail stores. So we've got a brilliant community that we've built over the last few years.
So what are the latest trends in e-commerce and how can businesses decide which trends to follow and what should be dismissed?
The two big things, Carl, that have happened in the Irish market over the last few months are TikTok Shop has gone live and is now available to Irish brand owners and retailers and anyone selling online. And then obviously the launch of Amazon.ie just a couple of weeks ago, which we're going to talk about in a wee bit more detail. Those are the two key things. There's lots of trends popping up all the time. There's lots of things happening like Meta changing the algorithm, Google changing the algorithm, new bits of technology. And oftentimes it's a challenge for the brand owners and the retailers to try and figure out which trend they should jump on. And that's where we sort of come into play with our events and our conferences.
And are e-commerce stores and retailers switching to TikTok quickly enough, in your opinion?
So a lot of these things kind of arrive, right? And they're seen as a new trend. And, you know, very often you'll see your kids talking about these platforms first before, the sort of the market adopts them or they're adopted commercially. But TikTok Shop, for example, launched a little while ago. Brands are trying to figure it out, right? A big part of the process they often go through is testing stuff in the business, learning from it, and then, just doing little experiments before they launch themselves into it fully. So again, in the world of e-commerce, in the world of selling online, very often a big part of the challenge is trying to figure out whether these things are right for your business or not. And again, that's the same sort of challenge and I suppose an opportunity with Amazon.ie.
And finally on TikTok, I know that Gary Vaynerchuk has been speaking about what he considers to be a key e-commerce trend this year in relation to live social selling. What are your thoughts on that?
Yep, and again, TikTok Shop does exactly that. It allows you to sell products directly to consumers through TikTok, and then also it allows you to do TikTok Lives. So some of the brands that we work with in Northern Ireland have access to TikTok Shop, previously, and they're very well established on it at this point. And then as a result of that, they're starting to experiment with new formats such as live shopping. So I think live shopping, absolutely. And sometimes what we do is we look at to the trends, for example, in China, where there's massive adoption of live shopping. You see these influencers with a bank of mobile phones in front of them, doing live feeds and live shopping experiences. So I think it's absolutely coming down the line. The challenge for brands and retailers is trying to figure out whether it's right for their business, because it works very well for things like beauty products, fast moving, gadgets and that sort of thing. It's not right for every business, but again, certainly some of the content we're delivering at eComm Live this year and throughout the year will help brand owners and retailers figure out whether that live shopping is for them or not.
And of course, Amazon launched its long-awaited Irish store recently. How has it been received to date?
It's been received very, very well. A lot of retailers in Ireland see it as a massive opportunity for them. There's a couple of big things that have happened, I suppose, for Irish retailers over the last few years. With Brexit, the UK market, a market of 60 million people just on our doorstep, was pretty much closed down to a lot of people who were selling online. And it was very complicated for them to kind of do it and figure it out, which as a result of which a lot of the online sellers that we know just kind of went, look, it's too much hassle, So Amazon launching in Ireland is a great thing, right, for people who want to, for the retailers who want to get their brands now on that almost shop window to the world, launching their brands and delivering that Amazon-style consumer experience, which is amazing, right? You order stuff and it arrives the next day. Customer service is great. The returns policy is all very much kind of there and transparent and open. So Amazon offers that experience. Irish retailers getting into the middle of that is a great opportunity for them if it's right for their business and their business model. And then also as a result of that, being on Amazon IE allows you to get into 5 European markets very, very quickly, of which the UK is one, and then 4 other major European markets. So I think it's a great opportunity for retailers in Ireland, again, with the caveat that you have to be selling the right products and you have to invest in the platform properly to get those returns.
What's involved in establishing a store on Amazon.ie, and then what are the subsequent costs involved?
If you want to get onto Amazon and selling on Amazon, treat it like a whole new sales channel for your business. You need to be prepared to invest in it. And some of the retailers that we have in our ecosystem who are doing well, in Northern Ireland, who've already been selling on Amazon.co.uk, they've said to us, you have to go all in on it to make it succeed. So think of it as the same way as opening a retail store for the first time or selling via a website for the first time. You have to, if you're going to get selling on Amazon, you have to take it seriously and you have to invest in it. And, there are costs associated with Amazon. It's a lot of the businesses that we know that are selling successfully on Amazon, they've got a whole ecosystem. They've got people on their team who are looking after the sales. They might have an agency, a specific Amazon agency, to kind of support them, because there's various things that happen on Amazon. The SLAs around when stuff has to be with customers, the customer service that Amazon requires, all those sort of things. They all take input and resource to deliver them successfully to get the returns at the back end, So it's a relatively complex thing to do, not impossible. But again, my message to businesses would be, if you're going to go into it, be prepared to invest the time, effort and energy into making that channel successful for you.
And when you mention investing time, effort and energy, are you also including sponsored ads and also professional photography and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is whenever you go onto Amazon, there's a whole sort of range of things that you can do to promote your products. You need to have your listings formatted properly. You need to have compelling product descriptions, high quality images. There's a whole art and a science around getting in the buy box. This is your shop window to the world. And Amazon, by its very virtue, is very competitive, So again, lots of businesses use repricing tools to make sure the pricing is competitive. And that technology is repricing your products on the fly when people are getting ready to check out. The flip side of that is, if you get all those things right, the conversion rate on a standard e-commerce store is sits between somewhere 1% and 2%, right? So like out of 100 people who visit your website, 1 of them or 2 of them are purchasing something from you. The conversion rate for Amazon Prime customers on Amazon, according to Millward Brown Digital, is 74%, right, which is absolutely incredible. And then the conversion rate for non-Prime members is still 13%, so it's 7 times the conversion rate you're going to get on your own website.
And of course, Ireland is just the latest in a long line of countries in which Amazon has created its own site. So if we look to other countries like the UK, how did retailers adapt to the threat posed by Amazon?
Retailers, whether they're selling in stores, whether they're selling online, the community of e-commerce and retail sort of founders that I have in my ecosystem, they're incredible people. They're incredibly resourceful, incredibly adaptable. And no matter what life throws at them, or, the kind of political situation in the US throws at them or whatever else, they always adapt to it. They find a way. And I love this community in Ireland because the people that work in it are highly intelligent, and I learn a lot from them, So, and I think what will happen in Ireland is the same thing that will happen in the UK. And the retailers will, probably take a look at Amazon. Some of them will decide it's for them, and they'll invest in it, and they'll succeed at it. And I think others will probably have a go at it and try it for a little bit and decide it's not for them. There's key things like you need to have, some of the people who are succeeding in the UK have told me, you need to have an 80% gross margin in your products to sell them successfully on Amazon. So if you're a reseller selling stuff at a 30% markup or a 40% markup, there's a fair chance that Amazon may not work for you. So the products that you sell have to be right. It has to be right for your business. Again, there's not many luxury brands on on Amazon. It's more the sort of fast-moving consumer goods. Like, we have poo bags for our dogs and subscription. We don't buy many clothes as a family on Amazon. So is it right for your business? The products you sell, the products you manufacture, you need to work all those things out. And all of the businesses in Ireland, I'm sure, will do the same thing as the smart retailers in the UK have done. And those that discover Amazon is for them will get onto it and make it succeed for them. And those that decide it isn't for them will probably not utilize it as a channel.
And ultimately, what impact do you think this new site might have on the high street retailers across urban and rural Ireland?
That's a good question, Carl. And, the high street's a difficult place, and over the last couple of years, we watch, for example, Jean and the folks at Retail Excellence Ireland and some of the things they're saying about needing more government support for the high street. The same situation exists in the north of Ireland here as well. We live in Strabane here. My wife is just in the process of taking over a food retail business. And, retailers have to be on their toes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to make it work for them, And I think they could definitely do with more government support. What do I think Amazon is going to add to the mix there? I think it's just another sales channel, right? And I think also what I'm seeing happening at a macro level with a lot of really clever brands that are selling online is they're now going back onto the high street. If you look at what's happening in the UK around brands like Gymshark, Represent, and some of these really big and really successful e-commerce retailers, they're now going back to the high street and saying, look, we want to deliver that experience for retailers. And I think that's where Irish retailers who are selling in store and who've got a unique product or a unique proposition, that's where they will continue to thrive, because you don't get that on Amazon. You don't get the customer experience on Amazon. You don't get those really bespoke, unique Irish heritage products on Amazon. That's not the sort of the place I think that you would buy them. So I think there's still an opportunity there.
And of course, we are hearing lots about tariffs coming in from the US. What impact could that potentially have on the Irish retail sector?
Difficult to say at this stage, Carl, because my observation is, the new US administration comes out with all these things and things they say they're going to do. Are they a negotiation tactic? Is it brinkmanship? Are they trying to get everyone around the negotiating table to try and negotiate new trade deals that are going to be advantageous for America, and then the tariffs don't come in? I don't know. The retailers will build that into the pricing model if they have to. I think it might, initially sort of, dampen sales and stuff. But again, I think we all need to sort of sit tight and see how it pans out.
And Kevin, finally, do you see emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence changing the retail landscape? And how are the best retailers using it today?
From an online perspective, we've been discussing AI, Carl, for the last couple of years. And what we're seeing is for things like customer service, inquiries, a lot of those kind of really kind of intensive administrative functions, AI is coming in and it's helping retailers save costs, deliver a better customer experience. So, I think, again, it's at the front end of things, what we're seeing now is new tools which will take 2 or 3 kind of product images and convert them into a really nice video, which is, user-generated content that you can use on your website and those sort of things. And AI is really in its infancy, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how it impacts retail over the next couple of years. Where I've seen it having an impact up to this point is really in the weeds of things like customer service, copy for your website, those administrative functions. But I think it will, the innovations are only starting to come through, and it'll be interesting to see how it impacts retail over the next few years.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Kevin Traynor from eComm Live, and I'd like to thank him for sharing his insights into this milestone retail development in Ireland.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.